Welcome to the Got Her Back podcast. Hey, ladies.
I'm excited for today's episode.
How are you? Gonna get into it all up in your business.
Just call me T Swift of dating. Oh yeah.
Megan Swift of dating.
Are we talking about dating?
Lord help me.
We know you still date your husband. We know. What kind of dates do y'all like?
Girl.
Come on, tell us.
Y'all, I need to show you our new shower.
Oh.
I'm just joking.
Ones that end up with the shower scene.
Is this where you like to date right now? I'm just kidding. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Can you come wash my back? I can't reach it.
I love a good shower moment.
Right?
I do.
I'm liking that.
You shower right after, right? It feels good.
Sometimes.
I want to hear it. Okay. 'Cause now I'm getting red.
Okay, we don't need you getting on Ferris.
What?
Meg,
What?
what's new on the dating scene?
What?
Come on.
I got on
Spill it.
I got on some dating apps because I broke up with the last guy. I did a while back. It's kind of quiet about it. It was a few months ago. Just didn't work out. Might have been like a similar situation to what I just got out of.
It's okay.
So, yeah, I mean, my counselor kept saying like every week on Wednesday.
I want to know what she was saying.
Golly, she was like, Megan, so she did say like you're at high risk for, attracting another narcissist once you get out of a narcissistic abusive relationship. And
That's
she was
interesting.
Like, yeah. She
That's
said
good info.
the statistics are super high.
Because you're used to it.
Right. And so you're used to the toxic, like you're used
Chaos.
to. Right. And then like you go back to the love bombing phase and, like I just hadn't been treated well in so long. Like I kept saying in my head in that relationship, like, is this love bombing? But I just like kept overlooking it because
It felt good.
right. And I hadn't felt good in so long. And so in the moment it felt so good. Right. But I kept voicing it to y'all. I know I said it several times and in my own head all the time. And to the counselor. And she kept saying, like, I don't think this is good. I don't think he's the one for you.
Oh, she was?
Oh, yeah. Like
You didn't tell me that.
Oh, yeah. From very early on. But it was just, like I have those moments where it's like Megan's going to do what Megan wants to do when she wants to do it. And I think that I needed something to get me through those times because I was so fixated on, I needed something to not go back. Like
You needed a good distraction.
Right. Because I had tried to leave for so many years and I was just like, I refused to let myself like give in and go back. And I was like, I'm not going back. So whatever I have to do or whoever it has to be. And I caught feelings, right? Like I caught feelings for him for sure.
I mean, you're still hurt from your previous, so it's kind of
right. And so, but I caught feelings for the guy. I mean, we did a lot of good things, but like there was just a lot of red flags.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad guy.
No, I just like the
But
red flags.
did you see red flags?
Oh,
Yeah, we
like,
talked about it. Like her and I would have moments where she would be vulnerable and I knew that she knew.
But
and
you still
then,
supported
oh
her,
yeah, I mean,
of course.
Like I'm always going to support Megan, like whatever. That's what I kept telling her. Like, as long as you're happy. And she would say things like when it wouldn't be a good week or whatever, she would say things like, I know that it's just a distraction. I know it's keeping me distracted right now. And I was like, as long as you know what it is, as long as you know, like, we're here to support you. Like, that you do deserve more than, like, I would tell her, like, you deserve everything that you know that you, like, she knew what she was requiring. She just wasn't,
like, I was starting
she
to
wasn't
learn,
staying strong with herself enough.
I was like trying to set the boundaries,
I wanna,
right?
cut you off really
you're
quick.
fine.
Sorry. But that's what I really like about you too, is because you value our, I wouldn't say opinions or something, but when we tell you something, that it doesn't come from a place of hate.
No.
And
You are speaking the truth to me. Like,
But
girl.
also the cool thing about it is like I knew that she knew because she
Yeah.
would have these little windows of vulnerability where she would say like I know,
Yeah.
and so I knew that she knew. I didn't have to say that to her or potentially hurt her feelings or anything like that, because I knew that she really liked him, but I also knew she was learning faster and that she would get there, and if we did have to have tough love, we would, but I could see that she was getting there slowly. So I was really proud of her when she finally was like, okay, no more. So.
Yeah. And I think pretty early on, like I was able to go to my sister real early on.
Yeah.
And you too, like with things that had come up. And
she didn't want to admit it first.
no, I didn't. But when I knew that I could be like, me and my sister were like on a trip. And in the car, I just broke down and told her, I'm like, look, like this is what it is. And I was like, here I am feeling the same. Like I'm ashamed again to say like, I let this happen in a relationship again, and like I'm giving into old patterns, and like because I had another woman call me, is what happened.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and honestly, like I thought that woman was calling me about my ex-husband, and so when the woman called me, I just like it blindsided me. So the fact that it blindsided me, and we had a talk. Like we'd had a talk about like, who did we date before or who were we with? Because I was coming out of a 20-year relationship, you know what I mean? And he made it seem like his last relationship was like some girl that lived in Houston and it was no big deal. And it was a 3-year relationship. That's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, so he completely lied to me about that. And she called me. And of course it becomes one of those things like, it's almost like it's terrible, but it's like a competitiveness. Like, okay, well, like, let's see who he wants to be with. Like that's where I went, which is so toxic, right? Mm-hmm. Like so toxic. And I just, at that point, I'm so competitive. Hell, I wanted to win. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I did. I was
win
like,
this
okay,
race.
well, you know what I mean? Like, let's see who he wants to be with.
I'm so glad I'm not competitive.
I know. It can get
If
you in
y'all want
trouble.
to be with someone competitive, I'm like, you can have it.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, some things about my personality are not, they get me into a lot of trouble.
But competitiveness is also great. It's been, it's
Yeah,
served
but
you very well in your
you're
business.
so successful.
Yeah, but not in relationships.
I'm like never
but you
been
have
competitive.
Yeah, because
you
I
be strong.
I didn't want to go back. I knew I could go back to my ex-husband at any point in the last year, and if I really wanted him back, I could have got him back. Like because he was showing signs of obviously wanting to be back with me the whole time. But I just was so steadfast on him. So in my head, this is so fucked up. Go ahead and put 20 in there. I thought, well, I don't want to go back to him, and I don't want to go fight her for him because I'm done with that. So, okay, here, I'll just fight this one for this one over here. You know what I mean? It's so toxic. Like, I just didn't get out. Like, but I left toxic and then got back into toxic. And I tried to fight through, but at least at the end, I realized, like, it took me a while, right? But I did. I let it run its course. I let it serve its purpose. And I just got to the point where it's like, okay, if all I'm asking you for is time and you can't give me enough, you know, like, if you're not, like, everything that kept ringing and, like, that you kept saying, Megan, like, I need you to look at the actions, like, the words and the actions aren't lining up. And I knew, like, and I would talk to the counselor and I'd get mad, right? Because I like didn't want to admit that I was wrong, you know?
And I mean, honestly, if you think about it, like think about your own like habits and mannerisms and anybody that you know, if you want to do something, there ain't nothing going to keep you from doing it. If I want to do something, there were times that I really wanted to see Gabe or he really wanted to see me and our schedules weren't lining up, that we might meet at 2:00 in the morning, even if we had just from 2 to 6 to sleep, you know what I mean? Like,
and then with dating,
you just make sure, like, because if you want to bad enough, you will. Like adults, I mean, we don't have anybody telling us no. He doesn't have anybody we don't know that telling him no. So why are you not making the time? Like, you know, it just doesn't make sense. Like we all have jobs. We all have kids, like, you know what I mean? But if you want to make it happen and make that person a high priority, especially after the length that they had been dating, at some point you're like, okay, like I'm never going to be a priority. If you're not going to make me a priority in the first year, like you're probably not going to ever make me a priority. It doesn't get better than that. Those are like your, your.
And let's be real. When you're first dating, that's the honeymoon phase.
That's the honeymoon phase. So if that's your honeymoon phase, what do you have to look forward to in 10 years, 20 years, whatever? That's what I always tell people. Is I'm like, this is like the easy time. You know what I mean? Like me and Gabe are just about to hit a year. So it's like, I know other people in relationships that are, just under a year, and they've been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting and having this happen and having this happen and I'm like, this is like it's like the golden time. You know what I mean? Like this is like when you're just can't get enough of each other. Your sex is like good. You're dating each other. You're having fun. Like you shouldn't be having arguments yet.
And we waited so long, and I waited so long, 7.5 months to have sex, and that sex was good. I mean, I'm not gonna, so then that kind of kept me a little longer. I was like, well, hell,
that's one thing that she kept saying.
I was like, like that's, like now I'm in trouble because now that's really like, check that off the box, but goodness, probably the biggest red flag for me was that I found myself hiding again. And so, like, I did that for so long in my marriage. Like, I hid to others who he truly was. So much so that it's made me look like the crazy one. And I'm, like, okay with that because everybody just thought he was such a nice guy. And they had no clue. And I was doing the same thing again. I'm like, here I am doing what I swore to myself I would never do again and hide who this guy I'm dating is truly like behind closed doors.
When you start hiding for that person and making excuses for that person and making that person seem better than what you know in your heart that they actually are, like that's when there's definitely a problem. I used to do that too.
And and like, how I am, y'all know, like being my friends, I'm like beyond like truthful. I'm too truthful. Like I will tell you anything and everything, you know what I mean? Like for most people. And so to have that, like, that'll eat you alive. You know what I mean?
Enough about him. I want to talk about
the
dates that you've been on.
Oh, gosh. So I got on these.
Next.
So,
got on some dating apps.
So do you have any advice on, like, dating apps? Like, what are good ones? What are bad ones? Which one was the winner? Like,
so I think probably the funniest thing is, like, when I scrolled through the dating app, I saw the X on there. And his didn't say new profile. So I'm like, oh, he's been on here the whole time. So that was like a huge like aha moment for me. Like,
like the guy that you just ended it with.
Yes.
Okay.
And so he was on there.
He was. Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
interesting. But you weren't on there, so you didn't know.
Let me give you a tip. I didn't know this, so let me give you guys a tip.
Yeah.
So like on Bumble and Hinge, if there's somebody you don't want to see your profile, you can go in there and block them with their phone number.
These shady mugs. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wait.
He obviously didn't know that or he didn't ever expect for me to be on there. So he had never blocked me. So
people can go on there and put
so like
their self on there, but like take their wife off or something.
Of course. Yes.
Like where they, it's like Facebook when you post, but everybody can see except for whatever. I think that's shady too.
Yeah. So like,
they shouldn't do, I'm sorry, Bumble, Hinge, whoever you are, that is shady. Like, you should not.
If you're going to be on there, be on there.
Yeah. You should not make money off of these people who want to cheat. Like, no, that
Girl,
is
don't you
rude.
remember Ashley Madison?
No.
Girl, so
the world
is
a shady place.
Sam told me and taught me that. So I was like, oh, let me get hip to this game. So I was on Bumble first, and so I saw him on there. And so then I sent a screenshot to him, and I was like, oh. And then I did try to lie, because in the moment I was like, oh, so-and-so sent me this, and you've got a profile. And he was like, well, that's funny. Like, I didn't pay attention to my screenshot, and my profile was at the bottom of the screenshot. So I busted myself. And he was like, well,
Megan.
that's funny. I know.
Megan.
I busted myself. I know.
She's not the most, like,
so hot tip for the next person screenshotting. Crop it.
Yeah, crop it. Before I was just so fired up. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Send it.
Yeah.
So-and-so sent me this, you mother.
Yeah, and yours doesn't say new, so I know you didn't just get on here. Yeah, so that kind of was like.
He's like, that's funny because
looks like
you're right
here.
And
I'm like,
too.
yeah, but look, mine shows that it's new. Like it's a new profile because it tags them as new.
Oh, yeah, got it.
So It's 20 years.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's 20 years since I've dated, right? So like got back in the dating game. I'm like learning all these apps, right? So I get on Bumble first, that happens. And then I see the guy that I dated 2 years ago when I filed for divorce. And I was like, oh, swipe. Yeah. And then he reached out to Sam again and was like, I saw Megan on Bumble. So how is she? And I'm like, Sam
needs to block him.
For sure, because that's 3 years later.
If he's still waiting on you 3 years later,
it's not
red flag.
No,
But quick
red
question:
flag.
Bumble, is that like a serious one, or is that the whole smash or pass?
No, that's
app?
Tinder, right?
That's Tinder.
That's
Oh.
Tinder.
I don't know.
No,
I don't
didn't
know.
get on-
No.
I just listened to
Tinder,
Bryla.
No, I didn't get on Tinder. I didn't get on Smash and Pass. I don't.
Is that really what it is? Like Tinder?
I think so.
The hookup one.
Well, yeah, that's what the boys. Should I bust them? No, I should not bust them.
I think we should have them on here and let them bust their
Yeah,
stuff.
no joke. Yeah, I don't know if they would answer truthfully. Maybe they probably would.
They would.
I don't know.
I think
they
Bradley
would.
would.
Yeah,
He's
so I
honest.
was on Bumble. So then I decided, I'm like, oof, F this. I've got to get off, So like I get off of that one and I decide like, actually the boys told me like, go get on Hinge. And I'm like, they were like, that is so much better
My
than
clients
Bumble.
say that too because
So
they
it's
say
like-
you got to put more effort into your profile and stuff. Like you actually have to I don't know. They said people are more serious on there.
Yeah. So my first date I went on was a guy and he lived like literally 5 minutes from here, like literally a hop, skip, and a jump over there. Of course, I never told him where I lived.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was like, y'all, I feel like I'm like the T Swift of dating for sure. Like I go on this date, right?
Popcorn.
Girl.
Can we go
I'm
mix
like, initially like when you talk to them, like he was asking me some pretty weird questions, like, and I was just like, this is out there. Like who asks this stuff, So go on first date, he's like,
So first of all, let me back up. Is this the one that you heard his voice and you were like,
yes.
Okay. So she got on a call with him and then she's
I
like, and
texted
I'm
him
like,
back and forth a long time.
she text and was like, okay. The questions are kind of weird, but we'll see. Like he seems cute and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, just give it a shot. I was just trying to get her out there and off the other one, like not go back to the other one. I'm like, just go. You're not going to know till you go. And then she gets on a phone call with him. She calls her. She's like, girl, bitch, hell no. His voice.
I'm sorry,
His
I'm
voice.
taking all this.
His voice, I can't do it. And I was like, are you serious? Like, you can't judge somebody just off their voice one time for a second. Like, you got to, like, give it a chance.
No, he
and so
sounded like he batted for the other
yeah.
team.
So she said,
Yes,
I didn't know what you meant.
Yes.
And so she goes ahead and here we go. She goes on a date.
I go on a date, and that fool's bringing up, like, how am I going to vote? Like, I was like, he was like a Trumpster. And I was like, and I don't even vote. And I'm like, so I asked him, I was like, should you be bringing up, like, politics on the first date? I'm like, I don't think, I don't know.
If
but
someone wants to have someone that has the same political views,
I don't
if you're
think
gonna
you should
get
talk
married, but on the first date,
politics.
Yeah.
damn it.
Politics.
I'm like, and so then he's like trying to sway my vote. And I'm like, did you hear me? I said I don't vote.
maybe
Like,
he's paid to.
girl. Well, I mean, it's like he was ex-military, right? So I did have a few vodkas that night, 2 or 3, right? So, I mean, we went to dinner, then we went to a bar. The funniest thing of that night, other than his crazy antics and questions, was 2 things. At dinner, like I prepared him ahead of time. I'm like, look, dude, I lost 40 pounds on Ozempic. I don't eat a lot. Like we can go to dinner, but I don't take to-go food. It's not that like I'm too good for it or whatever. It's
I'm just not going to eat it.
I'm not going to eat it. It's going to waste. It's going to sit in my refrigerator. So I just don't usually take to-go food. Okay. So like I only take it if it's something like, I just don't take it, right? Like, unless I know that Taryn will eat it, So he like was one of those military men. He cleaned his whole plate. And I felt like I was sitting there eating my pasta and like, it was like the never ending pasta bowl. Like I just felt
That's how
like,
pasta feels to me.
yeah. And so I finally slid it to the side and he asked me, are you done? And I was like, I wanted to be like, okay, daddy.
Not daddy.
Where's your happy plate?
Yeah. And so he's like, are you going to take it to go? And I was like, no. And he was like appalled at me for not taking it to go. Like I was like wasting it, I think. And so he lets it go, right? Asked me, do I want to go to a bar? I'm like, sure, I'll go to a bar with you or whatever. Like I'll drive my car, you drive yours, And so the funniest thing is like midnight. And I told Taryn I was going on a date and my phone rings and I missed it because it was in my little clutch. And like next thing you know, I check my phone and I'm like, I see a missed call and a voicemail from Taryn. Y'all, funny.
Your fucking curfew's done. I don't care what you say. Come home. know where you are. I don't know who you're with. I don't even know. You haven't been with this person out ever, and you're out till fucking 12:15. I don't give a fuck if you're 6. Come home.
It wasn't bad. He was just concerned about his mom.
No,
he
he's just messing with me.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah,
it
you
was a
can
joke.
tell.
Like, he was like,
I thought he was
no. I
serious.
mean,
Is that how you would be with him?
I called him back and I was like, is everything okay? He goes, did you listen to my voicemail? And I was like, no. And he was like, go listen to it. And so then I listened to it. So then I saved it for a long time. And I was like, all it did was like make me laugh, right? But I was like, oh my gosh. Like, he's like over here trying to be a dad. You know what I mean? So that was the first night, right? Oh, and by the way, so I put my height requirements was 6'1" or above. So that fool he was 6'1" on his profile. Now, y'all know I'm all in on 5'11", flat-footed 5'11". So when I put any kind of shoes on, I'm over 6 foot.
Yeah.
So that fool had boots on, okay? So I made his ass at the end of the night. I was like, by the way, take your boots off. And I took my heels off. I was like, you're not 6'1". He was like, yeah, I'm probably like 5'11". I'm like, no. I'm like, yeah, so I'm already like, okay, because in my mind, I'm like, if you lie about your height, bruh, like, what else are you lying about? Like, that's
Why lie about your height?
Like,
He was trying to get drafted.
girl, I just can't. So,
Are you a D1 athlete too? On your profile, did you put that? A D1 athlete and a championship wrestler or heavyweight or
motivational speaker.
I don't know. I'm like, what else are you gonna put on there?
I can't. So then I was like, sipping tea. So then I was like, well, maybe I'll try it a second time. Like, I need to not drink this time. So I went on a Tuesday.
She did go on another.
Yeah,
she gave it another shot.
Try. And I'm like, okay.
Despite the height?
Yeah, despite the height, but I wore flats this time. And so I was like, I just need to see, like, because he was really good looking. I mean, he was real cute, but like, he just, like, the stuff that came out of his mouth, I wanted to be like, just shut up and let me look at you. You know what I mean? Like, so I go to dinner and he says he's going to order all appetizers. And I'm like, okay. So, like, he's like, is there something that you want? And I was like, well, I think I'll go for the cheese bread. Go figure, Megan and the bread. And the meatballs. Well, then I ordered a pasta, right? But I'm like not thinking. Then that fool took like the waitress's advice and ordered this other one. He ordered like 5 appetizers. So here I am again. We have all this food on the table. So I'm like, hey, maybe we should just split my pasta because you didn't order a dinner. Like, let's have her split it in the back. And he was like, no, that's your pasta. And you said you would take it to go tonight. And I was like, oh, shoot, because I was like, oh, bruh. And so he gets mad at the waitress for taking
Someone's trying to boss Megan around.
Yeah. And so I was like, I am not the one. And so he got mad at the waitress for taking her recommendation. Like, you didn't have to order the appetizer that she recommended. She just recommended. You asked her, she recommended, you ordered it. Don't be mad because it wasn't good. And it's just sitting there and you're just staring at it. So then he got mad because the waitress comes in. I was like, hey, ma'am, will you split the pasta in the back? And split it in half. And he goes, no, I'm paying the tab. You don't do it. And I looked at her and she looks at me. I was like, just split it. And he was like, no. And I looked at him and I was like, this fool.
Y'all arguing about splitting?
She was trying to be so nice.
I was.
But she
like,
was like,
girl.
I'll do half of anything, but I'm going to do half of this one.
Girl. And so then she goes to the back. She splits it, right? So then he's like, when he's tabbing out, he's like, she doesn't even gonna know that this tip is a reflection of how mad I am. And I was like, because I'm still tipping her good, but I would have tipped her even better. And I was just like, I'm sitting there. So we get out into the parking lot and I give him the whole, okay.
Adios, amigos.
Text me later. That was it. Like, girl. So that was.
Did you tell him? Like,
he had to have known I was irritated. And then we get out into the parking lot and he's like, you left your to-go food. And I was like, let me go get it. I go back in there and left it on the table because I don't take to-go food.
You went back and got it?
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm going.
And so
I'd be like, you can go get it.
Yeah. So I
You
go
take
get it. And what I do, sat in here until trash day on
Yeah.
Sunday, went in the trash, so I didn't eat that to-go food, but I didn't ever hear from him. So then second guy.
I love that me and Gabe, neither one take to-go food. We look at each other and we're like, no. And people are like, was everything okay with it? And we're like, yeah, it was great.
We're done.
we're done.
Yeah.
I'm
Take
not.
to-go food, but I forget to take it.
Sometimes I actually would leave it in my car before, and then
Yeah.
get in there, and then
Gross.
I'm like, I don't even take it anymore because I just don't eat it.
Yeah.
Ugh. So the second guy, now mind you, this guy was like weird. He was like trying to WhatsApp me. Like, hey, do you have WhatsApp? And so, like, I've always heard that if people want to WhatsApp, like, they're a cheater.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
I only use that when I'm out of the country.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
I'm like, what is the deal with this WhatsApp or whatever? So, whatever. I entertain it, text him for like a week.
He didn't give you like his real number?
No. Yes, he did. But he wanted to
Do it
but he
through
wanted-
WhatsApp. You have to
do
go
it
through an
WhatsApp,
app.
right? So I just go during
That is a red flag.
girl.
Is
yeah.
he from a different country?
No. No.
Oh, that makes no sense.
Yeah. And so,
Or if you're like a grown ass man, you're like, what's your Snap?
Yeah.
You know, or what's your Snap or your
No.
WhatsApp or your
No.
Kick is one, I
no,
think.
I can't. No.
Yeah.
No. So, Summer had told me, like, back when she was on dating apps before which she did meet her husband on Match.com and they got married, right? But she lived with me when she was on those dating apps. And I remember her saying, like, don't go to dinner because then you're stuck that whole time. And if it's miserable, you're stuck through a dinner.
Yeah, they say to just
So
go like to coffee.
Yeah,
or,
like coffee or a drink, right?
Yeah.
So this fool was like, had said, let's go to lunch on Friday, right? And so,
Was he cute?
I mean, he was on his pictures. He was
Not in person.
No.
He filtered it.
No, yeah. And
Do
his
guys
teeth looked
filter
terrible.
photos?
His teeth looked terrible, y'all. And so I sat there, and as soon as I sat down, I wanted to get up. Like, it was that bad. So I was like, just make it through the drink.
What made you want to get up? Just the physical
just-
part of it, or
that? And like 5 minutes in, yeah, like I just knew like I wasn't attracted
Yeah.
to him, right? And so then I sat down. I'm trying to be nice, whatever. And I got lectured for an hour about what to say or not to say on a first date. Like, and I just was like, okay, but it's okay for you to talk about this, but not me, you know, like, and so I get out into the parking lot again, and I'm walking in front of him. Like, it took everything.
You're like running.
Like, I really wanted to like just walk straight to my car, and he was like, hey, and so I turn around, and he was like, so I just gave him like a side hug. Like, it was
did he try to
awkward.
kiss you?
No, he did not. If he would have, I would have probably slapped him because I was
Yeah.
like, no. He was like kind of like Skittles.
Was he
looking.
rude?
He just looked a little like Skittles. And so I was like, no, you're not with those teeth. And I was like, and the bad thing is he had told me he went to the dentist the day before. And I'm like, if you went to the dentist and your teeth look like that after the dentist, that's a problem. Yeah. So he texted me later and was like, that was the worst, most awkward hug I've ever received in my life. And I was like, if you thought you were getting a kiss.
Did you not get the memo? Why are you even texting me?
So I didn't block him because I wanted to answer back to him. Like at this point, I was like, this is comical for me. And so I was like, if you thought you were getting a kiss, it was not going to happen, bruh. And then I was like, look, I just feel like I got lectured for an hour. I was like, that was miserable. And he was like, oh, that wasn't my intentions. And he waits 30 minutes later and he was like, so you don't want to see each other again? I'm like, no, thank you. No.
Do people not? I'm so glad I'm not dating because like, do people not read body languages and
No, people can't read the room.
No.
There's a lot of
No.
people that can't.
like you're so good that you actually would sit through dinner. I'd be like, I'm sorry, this ain't gonna work.
I mean,
you think you would get up and leave?
yeah, but
You know my ass would sit there and take it the whole time. I'd be like this the whole time. Like they would not know. They
just
would.
text us next and we need like 911.
Yeah.
Like I'm on a date. I need you to get me out.
yeah, I will call
do
you. I
that.
will cry and scream.
yeah. So the next
Like
day,
Megan, I need you. I'm so sorry. I gotta go. My friend. Like,
this is something serious, y'all. So then the next day, like it's
Was there another one?
yeah,
You
you're
went with
gonna know
the
what this
same
one-
guy?
Oh.
Oh, no, different
Hell
third.
no.
Okay.
I said no, thank you. No.
She
No.
meant it.
Yeah. So it's the day of Morgan Wallen. I wake up and it's like it just snuck up on me, right? So I'm like, I want to go to Morgan Wallen. My AC was jacked up, so like I needed to stay home.
She texts me while I'm at work and she's like, I'm going to Morgan Wallen. I was like, what? Like this is people have been trying to get tickets
Yeah.
for like ever. Like, and she's just like, I'm going to Morgan Wallen.
So I get on my little Hinge inbox, you know, because I'm like, it's crazy. Like, it's like speed dating, right? So you got like 7 or 8 people in your inbox at this point, and you're just like, you kind of just like see like, okay, who's going to text you sporadically, who's going to whatever. So I kind of go down my row, right? And it was like my third pick, honestly. Like he wasn't even my first pick because his
Stop it right now.
because his texts were so dry. Like he was super good looking on his pictures, but I was like, oh, I didn't even think he was interested in me because of the way he texts, right? So I get down to him and I'm like, hey, you like country music? And so after the first two didn't work out, like get to the third. Yeah.
Does he know this?
No.
Oh,
it's okay.
now he does.
Now he does. And so I get down and I've told him that his texts are terrible. Like he's like, okay, I need to work on it. And so he's like, yeah, I think so. And he was like, who is it? And so I tell him Morgan Wallen, whatever. And so he's like, I'm like, look, do you want to go to the concert? If I get tickets, do you want to go with me? And so he was like, he's kind of like hum-hawing around because his texts are terrible. So then he like texts back. He's like, and it's taken a while. I was like, look, you need to tell me, do you want to go? Because tickets are going to be gone. You know what I mean? And so he's like, yeah, I'll go with you. And so then I'm thinking, so then I get the tickets, right? Send him a screenshot and I'm like, okay, done. And so I never let anyone come to my house. And because he's a teacher and he's like, I saw that he was on a teacher and I have a friend, she just married a teacher and she was like, Megan, he is so nice. So in my head, I've been thinking I need a teacher. You know what I mean?
They're so nice, right? All of my
They gotta
friends,
deal with
all of my really great friends that are teachers. I mean, think about Ashley and everybody that are teachers. They're just the nicest people. I think.
And he's a middle school teacher and a coach, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh. And so let him come to my house, right? And so I open the door, I'm ready, right? I open the door and I peek my head out when he parks and I was like, are we crazy for going on a first date to a concert? In my head, I was like, that's a really long time to be with somebody that you don't know. You know what I mean?
Well, at least you don't have to talk.
Right. And so I told him to come here. I was like, if you come here, then I'll drive us. You know what I mean? This is my idea, whatever. So we go and literally out of the gate, we get into the venue and he starts holding my hand through the crowd, and leading me to where we're going. And I'm thinking, oh, okay,
Initiative.
Yeah, okay. So we get to our seats, and then I ordered a drink and it was whiskey based because they didn't have much to choose from. We had got
You're
a beer.
at a country concert, you have to drink whiskey. Come on.
Girl, I don't know. It was whiskey lemonade. So I was thinking in my mind it was going to be sweet. No, it tastes like straight whiskey.
Yeah.
So we get up and Carrie gets there, right? And so he's like, I said, hey, my best friend is up there at the merch table. Can we go say hi? He's like, sure. And so we go. I'm calling her over and over again. I can't hear because it's so loud. And I'm like, text me where you are.
And I'm saying, I don't know where I'm at. And she's like, okay, I'm hanging up. Text me. And then she's like, text me where you're at. I'm like, I don't know where I could, because I was looking,
section.
but I was in a line. So I'm looking and you can't, there's nothing showing me where I'm at. And she'll call me back, text me where you're at. And she'd hang up. She did it 4 times. I'm thinking, I'm still in the same spot. I still don't know where I'm at.
Can you look at your location and kind of find
maybe, but I don't know. We didn't think that far ahead.
I don't know. And AT&T is so big.
So we're about to go back down the stairs.
Bad service.
We're about to go back down the stairs to go back to our seats, and there's a merch table over to the left. I was like, let me just go check this line and just see if she's in it. Sure enough, she was in it. I was like, Carrie! So she comes out. She's with another, one of Gabe's friends' wives, I'm assuming. So I introduced them or whatever. Well, I mentioned to her, I was like, yeah, I got a whiskey lemonade. She's like, Megan, you don't drink dark liquor. And I'm like, I know, it tastes. And he goes, and Dee looked at me and he was like, you don't drink dark liquor? And I'm like, no, but I didn't see any vodka on
And
the
I'm like,
bill.
you should have got it with did I tell you?
No, you just said
I
the
said,
only
do
thing
a
that
whiskey and Coke or Dr.
yeah,
I
Dr.
said,
Pepper.
go ahead. I said, she loves Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, that's what you said. She's
Yeah.
and so I was like, yeah, I just it was a set menu, comes to our seat. So they deliver it to your seats. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So we get back to her. We were just there a few minutes, right? Go back to our seats. And
He was so nice, by the way. He had a really pretty smile, very approachable. It just seemed like you've known him for a long time. It wasn't awkward.
No.
It was just kind of hey, well, and it was they were all cute and it was they knew each other. So I was like, okay. So I come back to the seat and I tell Gabe, I'm like, her day is looks like it's going really well. He was really nice. He was very attentive. You wouldn't have thought they just met.
yeah. So then we're walking back and he stops a lady. And I was like, oh shit, We're running out of money.
You are today.
I know. And
Should
so,
have withdrew some more money.
Not we.
and so he asked the lady to take her picture. I said, picture together on the first date, And so he goes, people may ask us sometime later on, like, where was our first date at? And we need to have record of it. And I was like, that's so sweet. Okay.
Yeah, just like.
Yeah, so nice. So we took pictures together, and then we go back to our seat, and he was like, hey, I'll be right back. And so he leaves, he comes back, and he was like, hey, whenever your best friend was talking, I was trying to take from her like things about you, but all I got out of her was that you like Dr. Pepper. And he goes, and you said you like vodka, so I went and found a lady to make you a Dr. Pepper vodka. Have you ever tried it? And I was like, well, actually, no. And he goes, well, I tasted it. It tastes pretty good. Do you want to try it? I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. So I tasted it, and it's like super good. So now it's like my new fave drink.
Yeah.
I know. And so like all these years of like in Dr. Pepper, like Dr. Pepper and vodka just didn't sound like it'd go together.
Yeah, but vanilla vodka
vanilla
with
vodka.
Dr. Pepper is a
It's so
vanilla
good.
Dr. Pepper girl.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So that night, like the things that I took from that date were like, he held my hand. Like we'd both never been to a country concert. He danced with me like to the slow songs in the stands. Like, he was just like, he was down for whatever. And then like there was a Rangers game and that concert that night. And so it was terrible to get through the traffic to park
trust
and
me.
to leave. And he like got on his phone because I was driving. He'd be like, okay, take a left here. Okay. And he'd be like so calm as to where like I've been in relationships before where they're just like, go left, go right. Like it's like you want to go right and they want to go left. And it's just like, he's like so calm. He's like, okay, now we're just going to go down
He's
here.
a middle school teacher. He has to have all the patience in the
I'm
world.
like, and with me,
Think
like,
about middle schoolers.
girl, I'm like, what was I thinking?
And then with your, like we talk about, like you have anxiety, you need someone to calm you down. And that,
Yeah.
like,
He's so like
Yeah.
chill. Like
yeah. So that turned that
we had him
day-
over for pool day.
Yeah, that day turned into pool day.
We had him over for like a little like random, like we didn't, you know how Megan is. She calls, she's like, hey, y'all should have a pool party today. Me and Gabe were in bed and she's like, you should totally do a pool party today. And we were like, okay. And
I was
she
like,
was
I'll
like,
bring the food.
I'll bring the food. Cause we were already like, we do not want to cook today. We don't want to do, like, we were like so tired. She's like, we can make it easy and all that. So then, Brylan and everybody come over and then here they come and he's just like, it's just like he just
I've seen
floats
a photo.
on in.
He has like his smile.
He was
is
very like attentive to her the whole day. Yeah.
Like, he didn't go talk to others. Like he just stays like right by me.
He stays like very attentive
so
to
that
her.
He asked me on a date. He was like, well, first the way he did it was so cute. He was like, hey, do you have any other dates on Saturday night? And I was like, do you want me to have other dates? And he was like, well, no. And he was like, I said, is this your way of asking me on a date? He's like, yes. And I was like, I would love to go on a date with you. So he's like, he like sent me like a screenshot. He's like, okay, we're going to go to this restaurant and I'm going to pick you up.
He takes initiative.
Yeah.
He
like,
dates
planned the
her.
date, like.
Usually she like, it's so hard for her because if somebody doesn't do it, she just takes the whole, thing just like out of her own personality.
Yeah.
Y'all are similar like that.
Yeah. Like, we're the like planners when it comes
God,
to
if you got to get me to plan it, I'm like, really? Like, yeah.
But like by date 3, we'd come out. I was like, let's play 10 questions at dinner. So we played 10 questions, and somehow it came out, and I was like, look, like it's just not in my personality to date multiple men. Like it's just not
like
who I am. You know what I mean? Like
even though you want to, and that's what people do, it's just.
Yeah, I'm like, it's just not for me. I'm too loyal. Like I don't feel good about it.
I think you start feeling bad, even though you're really
or
not doing
Megan
anything
will
wrong.
go to that point where she's dating 10 guys and she can't even keep up with who's who. Like,
No,
And
no. So then I was like, look, like I just am gonna tell you like right now, if I was like, I don't want to scare you, but if I want to spend time, like I'd like to spend my time with you. And I'm like, and if it doesn't work out, there's no pressure. Like I'll just go fishing again. Like that's what I told him. So the next day, like when we went to pool day, I told him, I said, so I put my dating app on pause. And he was like, you did? And I'm like, yeah. And so the next day, like he was like, oh yeah, I need to show you something. And so he texted it to me and he had deleted his app for me. So I was like, uh-oh.
He's so upfront.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
I think it's so rare for guys these days to be upfront because they don't think it's manly or they're just so like, I don't know, shady. Like you
Yeah.
don't know what they're thinking.
games,
You know what I mean? So they're very like ride the fence, like that. You just have to kind of guess. You know what I mean? But I feel like with him, you don't have any of the guessing.
What they say
which
about
is
men is if they know
They
that
know.
you could be the one, they know.
Yeah.
Like they know right away.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like that I love about Gabe is like you don't have to wonder what he's thinking. Like you're gonna know exactly what he's thinking. He's gonna be very upfront with you, and that was like just such a breath of fresh air because I never had that. So that was exactly
and he's
how.
a unicorn. He's never been married before.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I was like, at
Is
first,
he tall?
girl, 6'5".
Yeah. he's pretty tall.
Yeah, he's real tall. Mm-hmm. And
Checks
he's
all your boxes.
He does.
And then I was like, okay, so how was his apartment? She's like, it's so clean.
Yeah, just,
it's
like,
nice.
everything has a
Like,
place. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
just, yeah. I mean, he just, I'm like, I keep telling him, I'm like, how is it so easy? Like, we've not gotten in one fight or
It's
disagreement.
supposed to be
I know,
like
but
that.
I've never
Phase.
had that. But
you'll get it. You'll get one
Yeah,
day,
but
you
I'm just
know.
like,
You're so used to chaos,
yeah.
but being happy doesn't
Just-
really come with chaos. I mean, you'll
Yeah.
have your things here
You're
and
going to
there.
have your little things. Yeah.
But not where you feel like you're always walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
Like this weekend, I told Maria before he got here, Carrie, he was like, I need to apologize to you. And I'm like, for what? Because I'm like, we've not gotten into an argument. Like everything is just so easy. And he was like, well, I saw this video of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck was opening the doors. And I thought, oh crap, like I screwed up. I have not been opening. I've been opening your doors, but not your car door. So like, I apologize. He's like, I don't even like to apologize. He's like, first of all, I don't even like to get myself into situations where I have to apologize. Like everything just needs
Oh
to
my
be
gosh,
right.
but he's
Yeah. And so we apologized for like, and I noticed like Saturday night when we went out, like he was coming on the other side, like making sure
he's supposed to.
right. I know, like to open every one of my doors or whatever. I mean, he'd always open the doors like going in
Yeah.
places or whatever, but it was just cute that he apologized about it. I was like, oh.
And then he hadn't really even thought about it.
Yeah.
So he just like auto-corrected. And I think
Yeah.
he just auto-corrects, you know?
Yeah,
Which is
it
cool.
And like he'll ask me things, and the difference with him that I've never had in my life is like he'll ask me questions about myself, and then he'll apply it. Like he actually, you know, like, or we'll talk about social media or whatever, and like it's just not a big deal for him. You know what I
Is
mean?
he a
Like, he's-
social guy? Like, does he have all that?
He has them, but he's not active. Like
Yeah.
he just is
Probably
like he
with
hasn't
him
even
being
posted.
a teacher, it's
Yeah.
really, you know,
Like-
they try to.
Yeah, and so he hasn't posted in like a year on his Instagram, and so he just, you know, so I don't know, like it's just nice, and he's not following. Like I went and looked at who's following. He's not following a bunch of like half naked women. You know what I mean? Which was another red flag for both my last exes. You know what I mean? So it's just like what a mess. You know what I mean? And so it's just nice. I'm kind of like in my bubble, like when's it gonna pop? And that, you know, like.
But you're waiting for chaos. That's the thing, because
Yeah.
you're so used to
Nope,
it.
I
just
know.
just have
let
fun.
I
Just
know.
fly.
Just enjoy it.
I'm
Just-
going to.
I sent Gabe a friend request on Instagram. He don't know how to accept. He was like, "You did? I don't know how to do that." And Brylin was like, "Yeah, I sent you one too, man, long time ago." He's like, "Y'all did?" You know? Yeah. I'm like, "Yeah." He doesn't really post or anything like that. Like he's starting to here and there on Facebook. And he's like, "Did you see I posted?" You know, but he just doesn't really.
I know. So a few weeks ago, like we got back to the apartment one night, we went out and we went to the Rangers game, and he was like, "You can go to my apartment before I take you home." And I'm like, "Yeah, come on, let's go." And so goes apartment, and he was like, we just had a couple drinks at the Rangers game. And so I was like laying on his couch, and he picks me up and like sits down and wants me to face him. He was like, "Hey, we need to have a talk." And I was like, oh crap. And so I was like, am I in trouble? You know, like, what is this? Cause he's never really like, you know, he's like, want to be serious. He's like, hey, like, and I'm, you know, I'm so.
What was it?
I'm gonna tell you.
Come on,
He's
get to
like,
it.
So I had a moment the week before, like he's trying to like adjust being back to school because he has the summers off, you know? And so like he had told me that he was sleeping like when he got home. And so in my head, my anxiety told me like, oh, he's probably with another girl. You know what I mean? Because that's just what I'm used to. You know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to trust. And so I vocalized it to him that day. And I was like, you know, like, for some hours went by or whatever. And I was like, hey, like, I had in my head you were probably with a girl. And he was like, what? He was like, I probably thought that you thought that because I woke up when I got up to pee. I texted you like, hey, I'm thinking about you. And I was like, I know you didn't do anything wrong. You told me ahead of time. You texted me a few times throughout the evening or whatever. I was like, that's just like, it's just my past and his trauma is coming forward. And I'm like, I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to work through it. But I just wanted to like, you know, be open and tell you, you know? And he's like, so whenever we're facing each other, he's like, hey, we haven't had this conversation. He's like, but I don't do well with 2, 3, or 4 or 5 women. He was like, I just want to spend time with you because I want to build a connection with you. And so he goes, I've just been waiting on you to say that you want to be with me. And I'm like, well, I do want to be with you.
So are y'all official?
I mean, I guess. I mean, we didn't.
Well,
like,
that's
put
an
a
official
label.
talk, though.
Yeah, like we didn't put a label, but
That's
it's
like him like wanting
yeah.
that validation. So
Yeah,
and you
so-
gave it to him, and y'all are, that's it. Like you
Yeah.
just,
Yeah,
it's official. It's
yeah.
official.
Yeah. So
And how does it feel?
Yeah.
so good because it's like for the first time, like, and I know it's early on, but like he makes me feel safe, which I haven't had and.
I mean, that's the
maybe
first
ever,
step is
you know
like
what I mean?
finding
Like,
someone that you're safe with.
yeah, like and like I can tell him like when I'm having a moment and he doesn't like throw it in my face or like that night I started crying and I was like, hey, like, you know, like I take anxiety medicine, I take depression medicine, and he like put his hand on my leg and he's like, it's fine, it's okay, you know, like, and I'm like, well, I just, you know, like I don't want you to throw this in my face later or whatever, and he's like, and so I'll tell him like things from my past, and he'll be like, it's not happening over here. He's like, as long as you're with me, you're safe, you're good. And I'm like, okay. So it's just like for someone to like tell you that and to like back it up with action is just different for me. I've never really had it. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of people do this, but not do this and the actions and let them meet together.
And they line.
Yeah.
And it feels good.
Yeah.
Aw, Megan.
It took you 3 dates.
We're all the way from Skittles to here.
I know.
I feel like people are just like listening to our podcast just to hear what Megan's been doing.
No,
Megan's been
Megan Chronicles.
Yeah, Megan Chronicles.
It's just having a crazy time in my life.
But
I
we
guess.
love it.
You know
It's
what I mean?
entertaining.
Like, oh,
You're
my
enjoying
heck.
it.
We have entertainment.
Entertainment. I have no like. My life is so like.
No,
You
it's
got
not.
bit by some ants.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
know.
I think you earned.
Yeah, but like.
Put some respect on your name.
You went to the ER. I think we're good. Yeah.
you
Happened to
know,
a
just-
Slim Jim.
Yeah.
But just getting to know a lot more about like what you're going through and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just like
It's just such a
journey,
great
right?
progression. I mean, we started this in January.
Yeah.
To
we're
see the whole
way past
progression
halfway.
to here.
Yeah.
It's
And
really good.
I know. It's like, it's crazy. Like September will be a year, you know, like it just, I was so scared to leave and get divorced and go through it. And there were moments, honestly, in the last 12 months where I felt like I'm not going to make it. Like, you know, like I can't make it through this. Like I'm not strong enough. I'm not tough enough. Like it was a battle. Like
I have
sometimes a
respect
daily
though, because I
grind.
felt that way. It's just you were like not scared to vocalize it. Like I felt, you know,
Yeah.
times where it was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. But it's just like I didn't vocalize it
Yeah.
like you did.
I'm claiming it right now. Our 52nd episode, Megan's gonna be engaged.
Oh,
Carrie, one of those.
gosh,
So y'all better stay tuned until the 52nd episode. I already know it's gonna be
It ain't
big.
gonna be. It's gonna be
52nd
that one.
It's gonna be big.
Yeah. We better call Gabe. Hey,
Y'all follow us
deadline.
on Got Her Back Podcast.
Inspired by Carrie.
This is Maria Shelton.
Meg's Unfiltered.
Bye.
Bye.